slow because they were sailing into winds. They were sailing into really strong winds that were forcing them off of their track. Now, when they finally arrived in the port of Myra, where they finally arrived in the port of Myra, where they got into a larger ship, because the ship they were in originally was really small and was being tossed to and fro by the wind. How many of us feel our lives are kind of like that, being tossed to and fro by the winds, because we feel small and insignificant? But they arrived, and they got on a larger ship from Egypt that was going to Italy. And they were still, even on a larger ship, they were having trouble with the winds, and thus their journey was very slow. How many of us feel like our journeys are slower than we like? How many of us who are in our fabulous 50s remember our 30s, and we look back on our 30s and we say, God, it took a long time for me to get from there to here. When our 20s, we think life is going to be easy. It's just going to, we snap our fingers, we get married, we get a house, we get cars, we get bonuses and jobs, and then we actually have to live through it, amen? And we have to live through all the storms that we have to go through. Amen? So then they finally arrived at a place called Fair Havens, but because it was getting late in the year, Paul warned them not to go any further. But of course, there was someone who wasn't going to listen to the man of God. He was going to listen to his own knowledge, his own experience. So the captain and the owner of the ship with the crew convinced the centurion that he knew more about what was going to happen than Paul. So they set sail, intending to make it to another port on the island of Crete, the harbor called Phoenix, which was a much better place to spend the winter. So we had a captain and other folks and you had a grain ship captain who wanted to get his grain to a better port where they could make more money. And the ship and the crew wanted to be more comfortable, amen? So sometimes we know that greed and our desire to be comfortable can sometimes cause us to make decisions that might not be in our self-interest. They might lead us into a storm. Now, they had hardly begun the journey when the strong winds began to blow from the northeast, and it was almost a hurricane. Now, they could not handle the wind, so they decided to just let the wind take them. How many of us have just let the winds of life sort of toss us to and fro? We just say, well, I'll just go with the flow and see what happens. Well, they're in this hurricane force wind storm, and they couldn't handle it, so they just decided to let the ship go where the winds were going to take them. They undergirded the ship with ropes and began to throw overboard, tackling to lighten the ship so that they could ride higher on the water. How many of us in our last-ditch efforts of trying to make it through whatever storms in our lives, we start throwing stuff overboard, and we start trying to tighten our belts, or we start trying to button up our coats, or we start trying to unfriend people on Facebook, or get people off of our Twitter account because it's too much and it's holding me down and I want to be light. That's what we do. That's our human nature. But God calls us to something better. So after many days, the storm had not let up, and they began to give up hope of ever making it out of the storm. I don't know about you, but there's been a lot of death and a lot of negativity going on. And I know a lot of folks are giving up. They're giving up hope. Suicides are at a record rate right now. Depression and depression diagnoses are going through the roof. And you know, if you go to the doctor, they'll give you a pill and a pat on the back. They'll give you a prescription for Adderall or whatever the antidepressants are. And they'll send you on your way. That's a way that we tighten up the belt, right? We take drugs, or we go see a doctor, or we go see Jack, or we go see Henny, or we go see the Weed Man, or we go see our side piece. Whatever it is, we try to find a way to tighten that belt so that we can lighten the load and make it through the storm. But it's at this point, when everyone had just about given up hope, Paul took charge. We're told that he stood forth in the midst of them and said, "You should have listened to me and not tried to sail from Crete. You wouldn't have suffered this loss. But be of good cheer, for though the ship will be wrecked, there will be no loss of life. For last night there stood by me an angel of God, whose I am and who I serve. He told me not to fear, for I must stand before Caesar. He said that all that are with me will be saved, and there will be no loss of life. I believe God that it will be just as it was told to me." Paul then encouraged them to eat something. Now, mind you, they've been on the seas for 14 days, and many of them weren't able to eat because they were sick, so they couldn't eat. But Paul's example of being calm under pressure and being able to eat something, those people were able to eat something and get their nourishment back up. We all have to find a way to get our nourishment back up when we're in the midst of the storm. A couple things I want to share with you here. You know, Paul was in this vicious storm by no cause of his own. Paul would be doing what Paul was going to do if God had not called him to be in that place at that time. Amen. And he told the ship's captain, he said, "Hey, y'all might not want to do that. Y'all might not want to go set to sail." But they didn't listen. So the Lord, the message here is that the Lord does not always deliver us from the storms of life. And newsflash, he doesn't promise that he will. Sometimes we experience these severe storms when we realize that we have no control over the situation. You know, the pandemic comes to mind. You know, folks have lost their jobs. They've lost a home. Some of us have lost the centerpiece and the rock of our family unexpectedly. We've lost brothers. We've lost wives. We've lost sisters. We've lost parents. We've lost friends. In times like these, we can often feel that our life is out of control, that we're in the middle of a storm, that we're driven by circumstances beyond our control. And in times like these, we can feel powerless. We can feel like prisoners. Now, we read that they didn't see the sun nor the stars for